Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sunday night Showdown Truck Series for race number 1 of the playoffs. Drivers just getting gridded in and getting ready to go green flag racing here in just a moment. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Oscar Johnson, and unfortunately, my co-partner is not here tonight, but I am here and excited to bring a very fun and eventful race to you guys. Again, like I said, it is race number 1 in the playoffs, and these drivers are just as excited and ready as I am. Let's go ahead as the pace car rolls off. Let's go down tonight's starting grid. In row number 1, we have Joseph Causey, Austin Edstrom. Joseph Causey has had an absolutely great season leading up to this point. Derek Garrison, Landon Matheson in row number 2. Row number 3 will bring us Reese Schaefer, Colby Jackson to his outside. Then going back in row number 4, we will have Bryce Shoemaker and Stoney Benfield. In row number 5 will be Jordan Berry and Reese Hamilton. And then in row number 6 will be Justin Day and Justin Levine. In row number 7, we will have Keith Shoemaker and Joshua Barr. And then rounding out the field will be Jim Foskett and Brian Wortman. Let's go over our race weather real quick. 85 degrees out right now, so not terribly hot, a little bit cooler than we're used to. Wind, really no wind here to be focused on, so not gonna really have any sort of handling issues, I wouldn't think so at least. And then our forecast, partly cloudy, track temps is 124, so it is going to be slick, but that's not going to be too much of a game changer. I mean, it's pretty much what we've seen all season long with these drivers. It's going to be 175 laps. And our stage break is going to be at 85, so it's going to be a pretty exciting race up until then. Take a look at this race analysis real quick as well before we go green here. So 5 sets, estimated 70 to 75 fuel, so they'll have to save. But up at the front, it's green flag racing. Joseph Causey with the lead for the time being. Austin in second. Landon Matheson in third. Then Schaefer and Garrison battling it out for 4th position. Now Schaefer's going to slot himself into 3rd. Austin Edstrom, Landon Matheson going to go side by side for 2nd place. Edstrom running a little bit higher than Schaefer right now, and this is a little bit of a rescan track, so it looks a little bit different from years past, from where we've had maybe a little bit rougher and bumpier track. You can see it's a little bit more smooth, and our preferred lane is more than likely going to be where they are running right now. And honestly, I don't think we've been here in this series at all, and let alone I don't think I've been here at all myself with this reskin, so I quite am not sure what it's going to be like for these drivers. I know they were trying to get as much practice in as they could. And now Matheson going to get to the outside of Joseph Kazi. Running that higher lane, trying to find that momentum off the high side. He'll be side by side down the back straightaway. And if you take a look at the ticker on your left-hand side of the screen, you see all those drivers in yellow. Those drivers in yellow are playoff drivers. The drivers who are not in yellow are not playoff drivers, and they still have something to race for. They're still racing for an in-season challenge, but not going for the bigger overall picture of the championship like the drivers in yellow are. So you'll have to keep that in mind when you're racing one another. Those drivers also have a little bit different windshield banners. You see on those three drivers right there, they're red playoff banners compared to Austin Edstrom's yellow playoff banner. So that's also another indication to tell who is who. The two Toyotas going at it. Make that three Toyotas as Bryce Shoemaker's there as well, but Justin Levine, maybe a little bit of contact there off the floor with the wall. Doesn't look like it done any damage, but I think he might have kissed it just a bit, and you can see Levine really trying to get that handling under his control as it's sliding all over off these corners, and that's just part of the track car combo, as well as the weather factor playing into it. It's a little hotter and slicker than it normally is, so we'll probably see this handling start to go away on these longer runs. Front driver without handling issues whatsoever would be the 8 truck of Landon Matherson. He's grown his gap quite a bit to second place of Joseph Kazi, and you'll notice that truck obviously not having the windshield banner or the playoff status to his name, but he is not gonna just give up because of that. And right now he's looking pretty good out front. Really, we've talked about him all season long. He's had his fair share of being up towards the front, and last week at Charlotte wasn't his best night. He had some handling issues here and there, but looks to have that stuff in check for tonight as he's leading this race at lap 13. Another driver we'll be talking about through these playoffs and just in general is Colby Jackson, and this number is 73. He's looking really good right now, sitting in 8th position, trying to work his way around Bryce Shoemaker for this 7th position. Colby Jackson is coming off in place finish last week at Charlotte for our regular season finale, and he finished right behind Justin Levine, so he's got some high hopes for himself and his team, and looks to be sitting pretty right now as Derek Garrison's going to take a look to the inside as Joseph Kazi is on the outside here for second place. And Joseph Kazi, being the championship leader right now, came into this race plus 44 above the cut line, so unless there is some crucial mistakes from him, I'd be very surprised to not see Kazi advance through this first round of the playoffs. Derek Garrison came in only +7. Levine was in second, +23, and I think Garrison definitely has had a quiet season. He's got that one win on this season so far, and really, I wouldn't say I'm surprised by the quietness out of him, but I think now that we're in the playoffs, it's really more of his style, more of what, you know, he and his team needs to do when the pressures and stakes are high. He's going to come in and be able to put on the finishes that he needs for himself and his team, and running third right now in this turn sector media red and black 23 machine is looking to have a solid point stay and at least a solid first half of this race. Remember, the stage finishes at the lap end of 85, so if he can hold on for a little bit longer, I think he'll be able to have a say for this race win. Austin Edstrom able to hold out for Reese Schaefer. Colby Jackson now trying to work his way around Schaefer, and these two playoff drivers looking strong here as well. Schaefer, again, another one of those drivers who has had a little bit more of a quiet season compared to what seasons past have been. Defending series champion, that is. Now 23 laps into this run so far, Matheson has kind of held his own up at the front. Kazi and Garrison trying to track him down. And those two in second and third place were a little bit quicker that last time by over our race leader, Landon Matheson. But Matheson, I mean, even if he is going a little bit harder than those two behind him, he doesn't really have as much to lose as some of the other playoff drivers behind him, and I think that's going to open up the door for him to maybe try and see how much he can put into these runs, not really have to hold back too much. Obviously, he's going to want to go for the win, but, you know, if you mess up and you overheat your tires and start to fall off a bit, I don't think it would be as much as a worry to that 8 team as it would if it was maybe a playoff contender. But either way, a solid performance on the Matheson so far. You saw him get a little bit loose right there, and that could start to be the handling issues that this 8 truck might start to develop if he's been pushing a little bit harder than the drivers behind him. And you kind of see this gap start to close in just little by little as Joseph Kazi starts to run this 8 truck down for the race lead, and Garrison as well. I mean, Garrison hasn't been as quick as Kazi has had, but once these two in front of him get racing, that would allow third and fourth place to catch up just a bit. Kazi with the good run off of 4. He's going to take a look to the inside, going into turns 1 and seeing money of Kazi trying to get around. Matheson's going to hold strong. Maybe a little bit of contact right there off of turn number 2. And that's going to allow Matheson to get back around, and Kazi going to have to go back to work and try and find a way around Matheson as he's on his left rear, trying to get him a little bit squirrely off the 4. We'll see if he can make it work this time by in turns 1 and 2. Matheson pushed up just a little bit. That's going to allow Kazi to get the room he needs to get around. And now Matheson's going to take second place. But he's not going to have a lot of time until this next truck of Derek Garrison comes up behind. Now Garrison taking a look to the inside. Matheson starting to lose the handle on that race truck. You see it kick out just a little bit on exit more and more. He's going to now let Garrison by and slot in right behind him. Justin Levine, Austin Edstrom directly behind them as well. Oh, Levine with a big moment right there behind them. Levine is definitely driving this thing like he means to. Yeah, as we've already seen a few moments for Levine in this 19 truck. That last time by down the backstretch, it was a pretty close call between him and the wall. Alright, we're going to go ahead and we'll take a quick commercial break and we'll be back in a second.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Alright, welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sunday Night Showdown Truck Series. Racing from Iowa Speedway, and as we had a quick commercial break right there, you might have seen me mess around with the cameras for a second, and I apologize for that. I realized my cameras were unloaded there, so took a moment to fix that, but we are back here and racing. Had a little bit of a change up front. Joseph Kazi, Austin Edstrom, Colby Jackson are now your top three. Bryce Shoemaker has come into fourth. Derek Garrison back to fifth. And Landon Matheson has fallen off, and he's back to 15th position right now, so some issues for him. As Levine and Schaefer are going to go at it here for 7th. And honestly, Derek Garrison might have used up his tires a bit too much. Either that or he might be trying to save. We were very close on making it with the fuel run. I'm not quite sure if he is trying to save fuel, if it is maybe a tire thing, but he has fallen back quite a bit. He's now back to the 7th position as Levine gets around him, so a little bit of a change up at the front, like I was saying while we were on the commercial break. And if we go to the top spot here, I mean, Austin Edstrom is right there in the back bumper of Joseph Kazi, continuing to apply pressure. And Austin Edstrom missing a good portion of this season, looking to come back in and start things off with the win as he's side by side with Kazi for the top spot. Edstrom bottom side, Kazi top side. Kazi able to hang on for the moment. Austin Edstrom is going to have to go back to work and try and build another run up. You see Kazi take a little bit of defensive angle right there, entering turns 3 and 4, trying to take the air off of Edstrom's front nose, but that's not going to stop Edstrom as he's now going to take another look to the inside. I think Kazi's going to be able to hang on again, but we'll see if Edstrom can remain even, and yes, he will, off the 2. Close racing, almost leaning off one another. Kazi still has the point, and Edstrom wants it. And I'm impressed by how good Kazi has been able to hang on, as Edstrom has a little bit of a moment off the floor right there. I know you're probably going to be able to hang on that top side a bit longer when trying to defend, but that is also a really tricky place to try and defend. It's a little bit more slick, and you're not really able to get the power down as well right now, though. Kazi able to hang off on that top side and not really have any struggling issues. I mean, Edstrom might have a little bit of handling issues if he keeps pushing as hard as he was to get around Kazi. He'll probably want to take a lap or two to cool down their tires. But, I mean, right now, Edstrom looking really quick. Schaefer as well. I mean, Schaefer has, with these two racing up front, Schaefer has closed the gap down behind them in that third position. And these playoff drivers, I mean, if you're Austin Edstrom, obviously not in the playoffs. Everyone else, though, in the playoffs, in the top 10. You have to go back to 11th to recognize our other non-playoff driver, Jim Foskett. And I don't want to take anything away from Jim Foskett. He's had an amazing season. Unfortunately, just really bad luck for this number 47 truck. Again, Jim Foskett just barely missing out on the season playoff. Edstrom still trying to go to work on Kaz here, and I think I might have just heard Kazi shut off the engine. It's either the 3 or the 87 that coasted just a bit, and again, that's gonna be a topic here when we start to wind down these laps on this first. You guys are just a little bit short on fuel, and if you're able to stretch it out, that'll be a big advantage. You don't want to give away any of these points, especially if you're a playoff driver. And, I mean, just in general, I mean, these points are so crucial to these drivers. Maybe not so much if you're Joseph Kazi, who has such a big lead on the rest of the field when it comes to the playoffs. But, you know, you never really want to have to give that up, and you get points for leading a lap. You get points for the most laps led. You also get, you get 1 point for the fastest lap of the race. And that's all on top of what you would get for the stage points as well. So a lot of points to be made up in this first stage at Iowa Speedway here. And Kazi looking strong out front. Obviously, he doesn't technically need the stage points, but it would be probably a good feeling to be able to collect as many stage points as you can and not be able to allow any other playoff drivers to collect those valuable points. See if we can ride along with Kazi here. While riding on board with Kazi, I mean, just take a look at those hands. They're so steady, so precise. You don't see a lot of movement coming out of that race truck. Even off the exit right there, we can kind of hear the RPM pick up just a little bit more. I mean, his hands are as steady as they could be. And does not look like there is really much of any struggle going on with handling whatsoever. The 73 of Colby Jackson coming around to get his lap back after making a pit stop. 64 laps down in the book. Well, I am so far very impressed by Kazi, and I say that, and I mean, a lot of you guys would probably be like, what do you mean? To continue to be able to have the run that he's had this season, the domination that we've seen out of him, and to come into this first race of the playoffs and continue that is pretty impressive. Really just goes to show what that 3 team is capable of doing, and that they're going to continue to be flawless throughout this season. A little bit further back right now, we're looking at Bryce Shoemaker, Derek Garrison. Both these black and red trucks just continue to make their way around, both sitting in a pretty good points bank position, 4th and 5th respectfully. Justin Day back here in 6th position as well. Haven't really talked much about him at all. And the one thing that, I think Justin Day is really good at here is consistency and being able to put together finishes. Even if it's not his best day, he usually is able to put together something. He hasn't had as great as a season as he had in years past, but still, he's been able to be there. He's been able to get some points, been able to contend for a lot of this season so far. And I'm starting to hear a lot of these trucks and drivers coast a little bit more and more into these corners, and I think a lot of these drivers are going to try and make it to the end of the stage. We've had at least 5 trucks already make a pit stop. The most recent being Jordan Berry and Landon Matherson. Those 2 drivers just pitted a few laps ago. Colby Jackson, obviously we talked a bit about earlier when we saw him pass Joseph Kazi for his lap back. And really, the biggest thing when trying to plan your strategy is not follow the leader. I think that's a big thing for a lot of these guys who might be needing those extra points, who might just need to figure out something different than what their competitors be doing, like a Ozzy, obviously, or a Reece Schaefer or Justin Levine, but maybe, like Colby Jackson has done, he's done really good at running up front. Just unfortunately, he hasn't had all the finishes that he's deserved or probably should earn when he's been running up front. So he's lost a few points from that, and he'd probably be sitting a little bit better than where he's at. But being able to just gain those smaller advantages over the rest of your competitors can be such a huge advantage in these playoffs, especially when it comes to this format. We're not in the chase format like they are advancing to more in a lot of other series, but each point in this format matters as well, and we've seen advancing or not advancing to the next round come down to either a tiebreaker or a 1-point advantage or disadvantage. So trying to get all that you can get out of a race, it's a really tough task to do, but when you're in the playoffs, it adds even more stress, and just overall makes it a little bit harder for a driver and a crew chief and or team to do. The 87 coasting into turn 1 and 2 right there, and I think he's been the truck. Yeah, you hear it again right here, ending turns 3 and 4. Shutting it off, coasting, then getting on the throttle, just trying to save that little bit of extra fuel that you're going to need to make it to the end of this stage. Oh, Joseph Kazi. Is he out of fuel? He might be out of fuel here. Yeah, Joseph Kazi's out of fuel here. I was wondering what was happening on the front straightaway when he pulled down. And Joseph Kazi's out of fuel, and that's really gonna him for this race. I mean, points wise, it probably doesn't do a whole lot, but this is really gonna hurt this team, and he's gonna go probably 1 if not 2 laps down. And that's gonna throw the lead back to Austin Edstrom. And the amount of drivers that are going to not be able to make it and will have to come down pit road is going to continue to grow. We'll see probably a lot more drivers coming down here in the next handful of laps. Joseph Kazi right there coming back out on track. He is currently 2 laps down right there. You see him behind our race leader, Austin Edstrom. I'll be curious to see if this 87 truck can make it around to the end of this stage. He's definitely been the one to do a lot more saving than the rest of the field. Joseph Kazi's going to have to come down pit road once again, so he might have a penalty of some sort that he has to serve. Six trucks remain on the lead lap. Reese Hamilton going to be the last of those drivers. Just a handful of laps to go before this first stage ends. Again, that stage end is going to be at the end of lap 85. So if this 87 machine can make it around, he'll be able to steal a few points away from these playoff drivers. Reese Schaefer behind in second, also trying to make it to the stage finish. He's also another one of those drivers who I think was starting to save a little bit earlier. One thing I have noticed is that it does look like Edstrom is saving a little bit harder, and just as I say that, Schaefer's going to go to the outside, and both these trucks are actually going to coast in the corner. But it looks like Schaefer has saved a little bit more fuel than Edstrom, and we'll have to see if they can make it around. This is going to be the last lap in the stage, and Edstrom might be out there. Remember, you can't pit, and there we have it. And sorry, I was off my laps, but that was the end of the stage. So Reese Schaefer actually coming away with the stage win, and looks like he's gonna have to come down pit road. He won't have enough fuel to make it around. Which would then cycle Edstrom around here to the race lead. And I'm kind of amazed as to how this 87 has been able to stretch this tank of fuel out so far. It's pretty amazing fuel strategy and fuel saving from this 87 machine. I mean, he made all those laps on the green and then was also able to come down on the correct lap, not having to pit a lap early. So an amazing job by the 87 of Austin Edstrom to be able to stretch that fuel out, get every last drop out of that truck that he could. So, Mathis and Jim Voskett, they're going to take the wave around here. And then we'll have a few trucks on either one lap down or multiple lap down. Keith Shoemaker, Derek Garrison, Justin Day, Tony Benfield, those drivers a lap down. And then Joseph Kazi with those issues and having to come down pit road a second time. He's going to be 3 laps down in that 15th position. And it's not the biggest blow to that team. Again, they have a lot of points that they can lean back on after all these weeks of having a dominant run. However, you never really want to have to be in a position to where you have to lean back on those points. You want to continue to maintain and or grow those points that you already have. And we still have a lot of time left in this race for Kazi to get at least a lap back or two, but he's going to have a tough task ahead of him to do so. And if we see him on the lead lap, I'd be pretty amazed by that, but I wouldn't count it out either. Alright, field getting through turns 3 and 4, then we'll take the green flag once again. Starter's got the flag in hand. We're racing once again here from Iowa Speedway. Field pretty calm on this restart. Austin Edstrom back out at the point. Levine second, Hamilton third. Landon Matherson back here trying to get around Jim Foskett. Again, Matherson came down, was one of the earlier drivers to come down pit road. Also had some early issues with speed in that race truck after being up towards the front and being up at the front for a little bit. Reese Hamilton facing pressure from Garrison for this third position. Derek's gonna get it. Oh, and I'm sorry, Derek's actually a lap down here, so ignore that comment. Hamilton's still gonna remain in third. Joseph Cossie back here, again, 3 laps down, trying to race his way to get at least 2 laps, at least 1 lap down to go 2 laps down. He definitely has the speed to catch up to Austin Edstrom and get probably a lap back the harder way. It's just going to be those 2 laps that are probably going to be the most difficult to get, as we really haven't seen much incident anywhere on this track. Everybody's been sort of spread out for the moment and not really had any close calls. Jordan Berry here getting around Hamilton, or at least trying to. He's got the advantage going into turn 1 and 2. We'll see if Hamilton continues to fight back. These still remain side by side, but Berry will get the run off of 2, and he'll be able to slide up in front of Hamilton. Another good run here by Berry. He seems to be pretty comfortable at these shorter tracks. And even though Iowa is a little bit bigger of a track, not really having to slow down like you would at a Richmond or a Bristol where you really see him shine, it still fits into his driving style. And right now, being in this 3rd position, I mean, if he's able to hang where he's at, it would be a really good points night for him. Back at the front, Levine trying to track down Edstrom for the race lead. 23, Derek Garrison trying to get his lap back. He's currently the first truck a lap down. And we're going to talk about a lot of these playoffs guys showing up when they need to. Bryce Shoemaker, again, one of those drivers showing up when the pointer currently running in this 5th position. Back in 6th, again defending series champion. He's got some ground to make up if he wants to go put on a chance for this win. Colby Jackson back here in the 7th position. Again, we talked about it last week. After a strong finish, I think it's just going to be a matter of time until we see him in victory lane. Although it does seem like his more suitable tracks are the 1.5 mile tracks. and the super speedways as well. And definitely missing a little bit of something here tonight, as currently running 7th position. Not really a bad night, just not going his normal way of what we'd see of being up in the top 3-4 positions and giving it a really good chance at potentially getting the win away with some aggressive moves that he would typically make. So a little bit calmer things from this 73 tonight. Oh, a little bit of a wall tap right there from Edstrom off of 4. And that's kind of one of the trickier places on this racetrack, is that turn 4 wall. I mean, you really got to be careful. It comes up on you pretty quickly, and you really just don't have a whole lot to work with. And when you're side by side, that's usually where we see an incident happen, is off that turn 4 wall. And when we go through again here through turns 4 again, you can kind of see where that transition to the old pavement to the new pavement begins, and it's just a little bit more slick right there. And just not as much grip as really years have had in the past. I mean, just in general, even in years past, I mean, it's still a pretty difficult place to get the throttle down. You got to be pretty patient, and you got to have that wheel pretty straight as well. Not have too much wheel into it. Still trying to turn the race truck down. That's when we usually see either a spin or an incident happen of some sort, is when that driver comes off of 4 with too much wheel and too much throttle. And that's typically when you see a truck go around, truck or a car go around, is off of 4. Really not having the same issues off of 2. It's a little bit easier to get off of 2 than it is of 4. Hamilton, Barry now going at it once again for 3rd place. Barry trying to defend. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle right there. He's going to have to give up that spot. Now Hamilton's going to get back around, and we saw the opposite when this run began. Barry was able to get around to Hamilton, and now things have kind of flip-flopped between those two drivers. The lead still very close between Levine and Edstrom. Levine all over the back bumper. Edstrom trying to get Edstrom maybe a little bit loose with the arrow. Levine with a great run off the floor. We'll see what he can do with it here. A little bit of a bobble right there when they made a little bit of contact. Levine all over the back bumper of this 87, trying to do all he can. The 8 truck of Lennon Matheson, you saw in shot there, he made a pit stop, and now that's going to open up the door here for Levine to take a look to the inside, heading into turns 1 and 2. Edstrom with the preferred lane though. Matheson, the lap truck, going to make it 3 wide, trying to get around these race leaders. And that's going to force these two to move down just a little bit further. We'll see if Levine can get the nudge. Still 3 wide, and Matheson had a little bit of a moment which kind of got him checked up to be in that position again. Now the race leader is going to be side by side once again. Levine not able to capitalize right there. He'll have to go back to work to get around this 87 truck. Levine, another look to the inside off 2. He had a good 1 and 2 right there. But Edstrom, again, in that preferred lane, when it comes to defending a truck to the inside, he's going to have the momentum just a bit. But Levine fighting back hard. Levine's going to have to be able to send it in pretty deep, and or maybe use that side door to make Edstrom wash up a bit if he wants to get around him. So racing very close but very respectfully with one another. Justin Day right behind in the shot in that 24 truck. He's a lap down. And if you're Justin Day, this is kind of a weird position to be in. You obviously want to get your lap back, but you also don't want to take yourself out of contention by either making a mistake when trying to get around the race leaders or forcing the leaders into some mistake. So you gotta be patient. You also gotta be careful, but you also gotta respect that those two are racing for the race lead. And it's very difficult to do that when you're a playoff driver and you can see that you can get back on the lead lap directly in front of you. So as much as you want to be patient, you got to also be pretty quick to get around those two. So overall, I mean, really a hard task to do if you're Justin Day, but right now he's looking to just chill as Levine and Edstrom gonna go back at it once again here into turns 1 and 2. Levine trying to take another look to this inside and trying to make it stick. It's just, it hasn't quite worked out yet. Levine's finally able to make it work. He's going to get by Edstrom here. And Levine, second most wins of the drivers so far this season. With Kazi having his issues out in this race early on, really putting him in a position to where he probably would more than likely not win this race unless we somehow get a handful of cautions here. It's looking to me like there's a lot of drivers who could take advantage of that, and Levine being here with the race lead as Edstrom takes a look to the inside, could make it to the top spot as they go side by side once again. Now Levine gonna get, he's just gonna let Edstrom go right there. Levine not going away though. He's going to remain on the back bumper of the 87 here. Again, Levine, second most wins with 4 wins this season so far. Austin Edstrom trying to give these playoff drivers a run for their money as he's going to be able to hang on to the race lead again and defend off Levine. Levine now making that inside work once again, and I'm not quite sure if either of these drivers are really trying to push it too hard. It looks like they're kind of just, they're racing, but they're not racing to a point to where they would overstep the boundaries. They've given each other a lot of room for this race lead, and neither one of them has really pulled away so far. And right now, both of these drivers looking good up front. And green flag pit stops beginning again as well for some of these drivers. Colby Jackson, Jim Foskett, Keith Shoemaker, Bryce Shoemaker as well. Those drivers have come down pit road. And that'll be something that Levine and Edstrom will have to watch out for. There's going to be some lap traffic that they'll have to deal with before this race is over, more than likely. Whether it's trucks going a lap down or trucks trying to get one, if not 2 of the laps back, we'll have to deal with it for sure, as Edstrom looks like he's going to come down pit road. Curious to see if Levine will make his way down pit road here, or if he's going to stay out another handful of laps. Looks like he's wrapping bottom. Not quite sure if he's going to come down, so Levine continuing to stay out. Hasn't been called in quite yet. That's going to cycle Jordan Berry to second position. And it sounds like Levine is coasting it again, trying to make it as long as he possibly can. Jordan Berry going to go ahead and pull his truck down pit road. A little bit of a slide right there on entry, but able to get it woed down in time, so he'll be able to come down pit road, get his fuel and tires. 4 trucks on the lead lap currently. Bryce Shoemaker, the 54, the first truck, 1 lap down. Colby Jackson right there behind him as well, as being 1 lap down. We'll have to either catch Levine or get a caution to get, at least for the 54, a 1 lap back. 1 lap back, being the lucky dog. I'm not quite sure if Colby Jackson would take the wave or come down and then try and get the lucky dog, but I'm sure he would probably want to take the wave around, since we really haven't seen a caution at all this race besides the stage caution. So things going mostly green here so far. Field mostly spread out, not having a whole lot of not having really any issues here tonight, or having too much aggression out of these drivers. Now, depending on how far Levine wants to stay out here, I'm going to be pretty interested to see what Austin Edstrom can do and how much time he can make up. Remember, he was right there with Levine before he decided to come down pit road, and if Levine's going to continue to run what he's running, Edstrom might be able to come back around with those fresher tires. It's going to be a tall task at hand to do, but he'll at least be able to get a lap back here shortly. Not sure if he'll make it all the way around to catch Levine, though. Field mostly spread out for the time being. Drivers still anticipating possibly what could be some green flag pit stops from this 19 truck. We'll have to see if he decides to actually come down pit road, as this 87 of Austin Edstrom is going to be able to get around the 19, and he'll be able to get one of those laps back. We'll have to see how much time it takes this 87 to make it around one more lap, and maybe even catch the 19, as we get a caution out on track for the first time tonight. Looks like it has to do with the 73 of Colby Jackson. So our first caution at lap 148 is going to involve Colby Jackson, I believe. Let's see what happened with Colby Jackson here. Looks like a little bit of issue off of turn number 4. And again, turn 4 being the trickiest spot for these drivers. And it just came around from underneath him right there. And thankfully wasn't able to get hit or hit anything. Able to continue on, and the only thing that's really going to be hurting is those tires, which he should have another set that he should be able to take. And that's going to be an interesting decision for some of these drivers to make here. We'll see if these drivers decide on coming down pit road or if they plan on staying out. So some of these drivers being a lap down will be able to come take the wave around and or our lucky dog. And this is really an interesting spot in this race to have a caution. I mean, we already had drivers come down pit road, drivers who didn't say. We had 5 drivers on the lead lap right before that. Otherwise, a lot of the field was a lap down, so this is really going to shake things up. At least in the middle of the field, we'll see what the front of the field looks like once these drivers get their lap back, but the top few spots should remain the same. Levine, Schaefer, Edstrom, Garrison, Brian Wortman now into this 5th position. Pace truck getting ready to pull off here in just a moment. Levine with the point. Schaefer to the inside. Edstrom, Garrison, row number 2. Into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. We're racing with 24 laps to go. Now 23 at the line. And a little bit of issues in the back. I believe it might have been actually Austin Edstrom who had the tire spin. Or not Austin Edstrom. Hamilton. And all this does is help out Kazi. I mean, if Kazi's able to get these cautions to continue falling into his hand, there's still a few guys ahead of him that would need to get a lap back. But if these guys can continue to wind down that margin in those gaps and eliminate the drivers that would be a lap down, it's going to help Kazi out. Obviously, he's still got a lot of work ahead of him and a lot of luck that he'll need on his side to make it happen. But these cautions are a good thing for Kazi, a bad thing for other drivers. All right, let's see what happens here. Oh, it's the 8 truck of Lennon Matherson actually with the issues. Looks like some tire spin, and unfortunately got himself pretty some self-caused damage there on that race truck. I mean, nothing you really could have done differently, besides maybe taking a little bit easier on the throttle on the initial start, but yeah, just unfortunately try to get it going, and I mean, You can see try to lift off of it, but it was too late at that point. Had probably a lot of wheel into it and hard hit into that outside wall right in front of Jim Foskett. And 54 Bryce Shoemaker also looks like he might have gotten some damage out of that as well. So we'll be able to rack these trucks up once again. And these drivers with just under 20 laps to go when we get the green flag. I mean, it's pretty much all hands in at this point. You're not really going to be saving any fuel or any tire. So I think the aggression level definitely going to pick up. We'll probably see a few more close calls, if not another caution. You have 10 cars on the lead lap right now. Let's see if we weren't sure if Shoemaker had any damage, and it does look like he did have damage, but he came down pit road, was able to get it fixed, and he'll be able to continue around with this race. I don't think it was enough to make him use a fast repair, but there was definitely a little bit of right front damage on that race truck, so unfortunately for him, he had to come down pit road and get it fixed, but fortunately it wasn't race ending or fast repair usage amounts of damage. So we'll see what he can do here, as he's going to restart in 8th position, a little bit further back. Don't forget to keep around after the race. We'll have post-race coverage here. At the conclusion of this race, we'll have a moment to speak with the drivers and also go down some key points in this race. Right now up front though, Justin Levine getting the field set and going back under green flag racing. A little bit better restart for the field this time. No incidents this time heading into turns 1 and 2. Oh, Shoemaker with a moment off or two right there. Again, having you start a little bit further back behind some of these other cars that may be a lap down or have received the wave round, because he did come down pit road a handful of times there to get that damage fixed. So he's got some ground to make up. He's already up 1 position since that restart. Got around Jordan Berry for 7th position. 15 laps to go at the line. Levine leading the way. Edstrom directly behind him though. Schaefer right here in 3rd as well. And Derek Garrison in 4th. After having an up and down night, he's able to find himself back up front at the end of this thing when it's going to matter. Levine able to keep the distance between him and Edstrom pretty much the same. Oh, Edstrom giving it all right there. A little bit loose off turn 2. He's going to lose a little bit of ground there to Levine. And Levine, I mean, continuing to just do what he's been doing all race long. Obviously, he wasn't able to make it to the stage 1 finish like Edstrom was in that 87. But he's been sitting pretty so far, and if it can hang on for 12 laps, I'd say it's probably going to be hard for this 87 to pass him. The 87 definitely has some speed on these longer runs. Just, I'm not sure if he'll be able to find some speed for this short run that we have here. And don't count out Reese Schaefer right there in 3rd place as well. He's right here in the mix as well. He's a little bit quicker than Austin Edstrom, who has been struggling with that handling in 2nd place. The tough part is going to be passing this 87 though. I mean, we've seen it all night long. It's been hard to make a pass on the bottom. So we'll have to probably get to the outside. If not, maybe loosen that 87 up a little bit. And that's really where the weak point is on this 87, is if you can get on his quarter panel and maybe loosen him up just a little bit, you'll probably be able to get around him. As now Schaefer takes a look to the inside, not quite sure if he'll make it work. So we'll have to slot back in behind us. Now we have 8 laps to go at the line. Seven laps to go, the top 4 all right here. Austin Edstrom taking a look, gives a little bit of a tap there to the 19. He's going to move the 19 up at the groove. The 19 trying to hang on to it. Now this is going to open up the door for a 4-horse race. These two leaning off each other for the time being. Levine with the high side advantage. Edstrom trying to make that bottom lane work. Schaefer and Garrison right there as well. It's going to be 3 wide for 2nd place as they head into turns 3 and 4. Schaefer top, Garrison bottom, Edstrom in the middle. Schaefer coming out with the advantage. He's going to be able to take 2nd place away. And now can Reese Schaefer go after his first win on the season? He's been so close this season so many times. Hasn't had things go his way, and he's right there all over the back bumper of Levine as we have 4 laps to go. Schaefer sends it in deep, trying to wash Levine up out the way. Levine with the high side advantage. Those two going to get stalled out for the time being. These two side by side. If they remain side by side, that's going to allow Edstrom and Garrison and even Colby Jackson to close in once again. Levine, though, able to get that high side advantage off the board. Schaefer right there trying to continue to stick with Levine's to the inside. Side by side off of turn number 4. Levine again with the preferred lane. What will Schaefer do? As now 2 laps remaining. Oh, Levine just so much stronger right there. Had a great turn 1 and 2. One more time around, white flag. in the air for Justin Levine. Reese Schaefer dives it down to the inside. He's got a few more chances to take the race lead away. Levine with a bit of a bubble right there. That might cost him. Now Austin Edstrom taking him inside. He's going to send it 3 wide. And Levine might get a little bit of a bump. He's going to get turned around. And Reese Schaefer's going to come around and take the race lead and the race win off of turn number 4. What a finish at the end of that thing. Edstrom tried to make it work. What a finish at the end, right? Reese Schaefer able to capitalize on that late race move from Austin Edstrom, able to hang on to it, and he able to come home with the race victory. We'll give him a second, then we'll be able to hear from him and get his take on that finish. Reese Schaefer here. Congrats on the race win. What a wild last turn right there. You were able to get through it pretty much in touch for the most part. Race win number 1 on this season. You start off the playoffs with a bang, and really tell me what was going through your mind right there when you got the 3 wide call, and then you're pretty much sandwiched in between those two right there off of 4.
That was insane. I tried to block Austin as much as I could, and he bumped me, and then I thought he was going to let off, but he just kept going, and he sent it in there, and he ended up getting close to Justin and clipping him, and I was able to back off and use the grip from the whatever tires I had left and to get squeaked through on the bottom side. And what a unbelievable finish. That was definitely like a weird playoff race with all the fuel mileage, especially in the first stage, winning the first stage, and then the end there, just that 15 or 20 lap shootout there at the end. And I can't believe it, but we're here, and we will absolutely take it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's races like that you just, you don't really know what happened, but you're in position and you got through there.
Yep.
Pretty lucky and able to come out and capture your first win, like I said, on this season. And obviously with Joseph Cosley having his issues with tonight's race, you're able to be the next one in line to capitalize and get the race win. And we haven't really heard much from you this season obviously the field is a little bit more competitive, and just in general, I mean, it's a lot harder to win these races now, but this has got to be a confidence boost for you and the 17 team.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when we first 20 laps of the race, I fell back to 8th, and I was trying to save my stuff, and I was pretty concerned. I was like, man, maybe we might be trying to do fuel miles tonight, and well, we were able to work our way back up, and raced Austin in there for the stage, and I ran out of fuel as soon as I hit the line, so I had to coast all the way back around and start in the back for the restart, but it was worth it. Got stage points that were super valuable. And I was like, when I got a taste of the lead there, I was like, okay, maybe just saving stuff, we got a chance. And I thought at the end there, I definitely had enough fuel saved. I wasn't sure if Justin did, but there was 10 more laps on the run, so I was pretty sure that I might have him on fuel, but I think he was going to be pretty close, so he might have got me there. But I was kind of planning on maybe a second, or depending if guys that pitted to cycle back through to the front. I was thinking at least top 5 by the end of the night, and got that caution, and I just my short run pace wasn't that great, and I was kind of disappointed in seeing the L come out, but it is what it is. And about the first, I don't know, I'd say 10-15 laps of that run to the finish there, I was like, yep, we're sitting third, there's no chance. And then I got 3 wide, and I kept it on the black and was able to get past both Derek and Austin, and had a couple shots at Justin, but just couldn't pass in the bottom. And like I said, it came into turn 3 in the final lap, and it was like Austin sent it, and he cleared me good, and I was like, well, that's P3. And came out of turn 4, and I looked to the right, and I was like, well, I think I just won. So can't believe what did happen. Like I said, a great start to the playoff, especially because I didn't have a lot of bonus points for going into the playoffs this time around. So definitely feels really good to get locked into the next round at least, and we could focus on just having fun the next couple of weeks and enjoying, and maybe getting some more playoff points for the second round. And yeah, can't believe what just happened, but we will absolutely take, like you said, sometimes better be lucky than good. So.
Well, and I'm gonna ask you real quick. Like you said, you can focus on the next round now that you're locked in. You really can have some fun these next 2 weeks at Texas and Echo Park. But when you go into round of 8 at Legacy Atlanta, Dover, and then Talladega, is there any track that you're maybe gonna try and focus on a little bit more over these next couple of weeks, and try and maybe either prepare yourself as a driver, or maybe do some changes wherever that may be for that round of 8?
Yeah, I would say, honestly, the entire playoffs the tracks are absolutely stacked. Every single track is a fantastic one. I did a league race at Legacy Atlanta, I want to say maybe 2 years, or maybe a year ago, and it was a really top heavy. Was especially late in the race, you wanted to be, track position was really important, and you wanted to be high. It was just so hard to pass there. It might be a little different with this new setup and stuff on the car, so we'll see. I would say look at, I guess, tracks to maybe practice more, look forward to more. I would say definitely the first 2. Obviously, Talladega is just Talladega. You could be leading on the first lap, or on the last, or starting the last lap, and you can finish 20th because a big one. So that's always, the same reason you love that track is the same reason you hate it, because it's always random. And so I would say, in Dover's definitely a really, really fun track. I would say both round of 8 tracks, you're going to see track positions really important, even though they're pretty high speed, and there's, at least at Old Atlanta, there's a lot of room to pass. You'll still see that track position become really important, especially, I want to say the draft at Old Atlanta might be extremely important if we have high track temps and being able to stay in little packs with people. So yeah, we'll focus on that. But like I said, though, I race for fun. I absolutely love this league. It is such a blast. Every track we do with the guys that we have in here, we race so clean. I mean, other than I think two little spins today. I mean, we would have had a flag race. Everybody's races and it's not like the racing isn't, you know, just nonchalant. Everybody's super competitive and always going for it and having an absolute blast, and that's the way it should be. It's just so much fun as always to race in this league. I'm so thankful and honored to be a part of it, and thank Bryce and you, Oscar, and everybody on the entire Avent team. Everybody puts a lot of time, a lot of effort into this. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, so I appreciate it. And yeah, you said I track next week. I can't remember. It was Texas should be a blast. Ironically, Texas is a track that a lot of people dislike, but it produces some of the best races. So, and we'll probably see that next week. It's going to be probably 8 to 10 guys legitimately having a shot for the win with 10 to go. So.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. And I think definitely Texas is going to be a heck of a show for our league. I mean, I highly expect you to probably be one of those drivers contending for the win as well. Before I let you go, though, is there any sponsors you'd like to thank or any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Yes, of course, as always, I'd like to thank Mid-Michigan Milk Producers Association. They're on the hood, as always, and I love doing the tribute to my grandpa and my dad, and I always love to run this car. I want to thank all the 1-7 guys. I want to thank everybody on the team, just helping out, having a great time tonight, racing, having fun as always. I want to thank my dad, Papa. I want to thank my girlfriend Emily, everybody who tunes into these races as much as they can and watches me and supports me. And of course, I want to thank you, Oscar, for putting on a great show. I can't wait to go back and listen to your call and the chaos at the final lap. I know it's a banger, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. And like I said, hopefully we'll be talking to you next week in Texas. So.
Alrighty, Schaefer. Thank you again for taking a minute to speak with us. Congrats on the win. And hopefully this can be a trend as we head into these playoffs and getting to speak with you here.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Anytime, Oscar. And thanks always, and have a great night.
That was Reese Schaefer, race winner. We're going to go ahead and we're standing by with third place driver of Derek Garrison. Derek Garrison able to finish third in tonight's race. A great start to this playoff. However, you probably maybe need a few more laps to try and chase down those guys and maybe be there to capitalize on that turn 4 chaos. Really, what was the missing part is like tonight's race for you?
Well, I think when me and Kobe got together there, it kind of took me out of contention a little bit. Felt like I was up there with them. I think my truck's suited for a short run, and I thought I was going to be there with them. Wish I could have, and it'd been awesome.
Yeah, and you know, at a track like this, it's obviously the rescanned or repaved version from what we've come to in years past. And really, does it change anything in the truck as to what you're doing differently from years past? Is it something that you had to relearn completely, or is it maybe something that you just have dust on and that maybe, you know, the long run speed might have just been something that you might not have been able to find like Levine or Schaefer were able to find?
Yes, I don't know what I was doing wrong. I thought I was saving tires, but I was not. But I don't know the track. I didn't really run the old Iowa very much, so I really don't know. So I'm just assuming that maybe the new paved in the corners, higher speeds in the corners, and just scrubbing your tires a little bit more. Maybe that's what hurt me. But yeah.
Alrighty, Derek Garrison, as you head into Texas next week, obviously it's going to be a little bit different of a racetrack from tonight's racetrack. What do you think you're going to need to do there to maybe put yourself in a winning position or capitalize and get as many points as you can to do what would be the round of 8.
Well, you definitely got to stay up front with all the fast guys, and hopefully you find some clean air on your nose, especially at Texas. Play your strategy right, and try to get all the stage points you can get, even the bonus points. Just try to stay in the game. Just get past this first round, and then hopefully we're in the second round, and we can worry about that when we get there.
I like the sounds of that, Derek, and always a pleasure to be able to talk with you. And it's been too long since we've been able to talk in the broadcast booth as an interview.
How did you like the truck? Did you like the paint on the truck?
I love the paint, and I appreciate you carrying the broadcast logos. It means a lot to me, and hopefully we can see that thing in victory lane one of these races.
Yeah, we was hoping we were going to do it tonight, but unfortunately I didn't get it done. So hopefully next week we'll get it done.
Alrighty, Derek. Before I let you go, is there any shout-outs you'd like to give or any sponsors you'd like to thank?
Yeah, definitely you. Thank you for broadcasting. Bryce and the whole entire crew that puts on a great show. Thanks for all the competitors that comes out. Race is clean. And shout out to all the viewers that's watching as well on YouTube.
Alrighty, Derek. Thank you for taking a minute to speak with us again. It's always a pleasure, and hopefully we'll be able to see more of you to come in these playoffs.
All right, man. I think Austin's been waiting to get in here, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. So thank you very much for the interview, and hope y'all have a great night.
Thank you. All right, that was third place finisher Derek Garrison. We're going to go ahead and get Austin Edstrom in here. And Austin, it's been a little bit of a wait, so I apologize for that. But talk about your P2 finish and what was going through your mind entering turns 3 and 4 right there.
Well, to be honest, I was just thinking, this is my chance. I've been really fast all race, and I had 2 of my buddies in front of me. All 3 of us were in Discord together, giving each other hell those last couple laps. And man, it was a lot of fun behind the wheel. The 3, I was like, I've got to get under Reese no matter what. He shaded down to block, and I was like, absolutely not. I'm getting my nose under there no matter what. Drove in there pretty deep, and whenever we were up there, I just washed up the racetrack. I was sitting there, and I was hoping whenever me and Justin made contact that it was just gonna give him a little wobble up the racetrack, that I was gonna be at his rear wheel or a little bit in front of it, but I happened to be a little bit behind it and hit his quarter panel instead. And at that point, there was nothing he could do. And then Reese gave me a tap from behind. He's got a head of steam coming off the corner and pushed me back into him again, and unfortunately wrecked him. But man, coming to the line, he was laughing his butt off, even though he just got junked. But in between the laughs, there was just expletive after expletive. So it was a fun time in our little team chat.
Well, that's at least a positive. I mean, I know from it's a little bit different when you have to race teammates out there and you're going for a win. You really don't want to cause too much pain, but you also you want to be able to race them and have fun when doing so. So it sounds like you guys had a great time, and as long as there's no hard feelings, I don't think there's really any negative to it. Besides, if you ask Levine, it's that he didn't come out with the race win. But that's a good thing to mention. And you not being a playoff driver, obviously it's still teammates. But you're probably one of these drivers who can actually contend for these wins week in and week out when you are here. And just talk about like what you really maybe change or don't change when racing playoff drivers, and maybe like is there a certain boundary where you cross and you don't have to cross? Is it maybe like I know who I can maybe race a little bit more aggressively, and maybe who I can give like you said, a little bit more leany, a little bit sketchier leaning side of things?
Well, it's kind of funny you mentioned the racing teammates different. Me and Justin and a couple of the other guys on the team race each other harder than we race anybody else on the sim. Most of the time, you go into an official race and you make a little bit of contact and somebody reacts immediately and hooks you into a wall for minor contact, but we all kind of know it's just part of the game, and we're all buddies, so we actually race each other way harder than we race anybody else on here. I was telling Derek in the waiting room, I was like, if there was anybody else other than Justin, I wouldn't have even hit him in that corner. Like, if that was Derek there, I don't know Derek very well, so I would not have wrecked him out of turn 4. I'm telling you, there's no chance I would have even put that in the Lord's hands, right? I would have just, I would have taken my P2 and been fine with Derek winning. But if it's Justin in front of me, or Reese in front of me, or Kazi in front of me, or Colby in front of me, they're gonna get the bumper on the last lap.
And it's understandable. Trust me, I know I know exactly everything you just said and how it works from people you don't know on here who might, take a little bit of a love tap too hard and too much, to the heart. Now, the other thing that I do want to ask you is how in the world were you able to stretch that field in that first stage all the way?
Well, I didn't even think about it until about 30 to go. 30 to go, I checked, and I was, I think, 6 laps short. And at that point, I was like, okay, that's not where I wanted to be. And man, I was starting to clutch at the end of the little red strip on the outside wall on the back straightaway. And then there was a little kink in the outside groove, like the outside seam closest to the wall. There was like this little kink where it was kind of disjointed. And I would lift and coast there every single lap for the last 30 laps of that run. And then the last 5 laps, I was 50% throttle down the straightaways, which is why Reese was able to get by me on that last lap. I had so little gas, I couldn't even contend with it. But man, I was saving so hard. I don't think I've ever pushed the clutch pedal more in my life than I did at the end of stage 1.
Well, that explains a lot, because I kind of noticed that too. I noticed you and actually I think Reese were probably one of the last few guys to actually start to save fuel, and I'm amazed at how you guys were able to make it last that long, but able to capitalize on it either way. Before I let you go though, is there any sponsors you'd like to thank and/or any shouts you'd like to give?
Man, just thanks to the teammates for letting me race them hard. And there was earlier points in that race. Me and Justin were running really hard, making contact for the race lead, lap after lap. Anyway, and we were being really clean about it. So, just big shout out to the rest of the guys. Kazi, clean with him, clean with Reese, just having good fun, door beating contact. Just all the guys on the team. Thanks for the guys that put on the league. I've missed a lot of races this year, just internet issues and whatnot. So, unfortunate to not be able to contend for the championship this season for missing so many races. But man, I gotta get in the W column. I haven't finished outside the top 5 yet in any race I've been in, so I just gotta get that W. I haven't punched the ticket yet, and I want it really bad. So that's the main goal going on forward. So just thanks to everybody, and thanks to you for putting on the broadcast, man, for giving me an opportunity to come out here and do this.
Alrighty, Austin. Thank you for taking minutes to speak with us, and I would love to see you in victory lane. I think you're definitely knocking on the door here this season, and again, if you decide to come back in the future seasons, I think I think everybody would love to see you come back, and I think you're definitely a playoff contender.
Appreciate it, buddy. Y'all have a good one.
All right, that was Austin Edstrom there, finishing in 2nd position. Great night by him tonight. Again, a little bit of a chaotic turn 4 between him and his teammates of Justin Levine and Reese Schaefer, but able to make it work for what he was able to do there. And we'll take a look at it again right here. Again, these 3 going into turns 3 and 4 with 3 wide, and Austin Edstrom used up all the racetrack, used up his teammates as best as he could, and that allowed Schaefer to come through at the line and get the win away. So it probably hurts Levine a little bit, but either way, it was a great finish, and all those drivers seemed to be pretty okay with how it ended. All right, and now we're gonna go ahead and look at these race results here. Reese Schaefer with the race win. Austin Edstrom, Derek Garrison, Justin Levine, then Bryce Shoemaker rounding out the top 5. I'm not quite sure why his name isn't exactly showing here, but he is there in the 54 in that 5th position. And then you have Justin Day, Colby Jackson, Jordan Berry, Brian Wortman, and then Reese Hamilton rounding out the top 10. And then we go on to Stoney Benfield, Lennon Masterson, Keith Shoemaker, Joseph Kazi. Again, Joseph Kazi with those early stage 1 end issues, ran out of fuel, then had to come down pit road again. And that pretty much ended his night right there. Jim Foskett also 3 laps down, and Joshua Barr had an early exit due to some mechanical issues, so he's going to be the 16th and final driver of the field. And then our hard charger award is going to go to Justin Levine here. From 12th to 4th, 8 positions gained. The Hard Charger Award brought to you by Wraps by JB. Make sure you check them out. They offer custom goalie masks and paint schemes for everyone. Make sure you go check them out. They have great paint schemes in the field each week, and could not ask for a better Hard Charger Award that they bring to these drivers each and every week to go for. We still have our in-season challenge as well. That's going on. These drivers will obviously, that'll become more of a talk here in the next few weeks. Obviously, each and every driver is able to go for it, even the ones who didn't make the playoffs. Those drivers will be able to contend for that in-season tournament. And honestly, it just gives a great cause, or not a great cause, a great thing for these drivers to race for, and doesn't, doesn't bring them to the race each and every week and not have really anything to look forward to. So again, that's also a big thing that these drivers are going to be looking for here. That is also presented by Wraps by JB, and we'll be talking about that a lot more these next couple of weeks. And as we wrap things up here, next week we head to Texas Motor Speedway for the second race in the round of 12 here. So it's gonna be a tall task for some of these drivers. Other drivers, it might just be another day. Obviously, Reese Schaefer's going to be able to advance himself through this round of 12, so he'll be able to enjoy himself next week at Texas and not have to worry about too much. Other drivers who might be remaining on or below that cut line will have some ground to make up as we head into next week. Once again, this is Turner Sector Media live from Iowa Speedway for the Showdown Truck Series, and it's been a pleasure to be able to bring this race to you guys tonight, and can't wait for you guys to tune in next week, same time that we were this week, and we'll be able to finish this season off strong and with a bang. Once again, congrats to Reese Schaefer on the race win. Fantastic finish for a race tonight at Iowa Speedway. And until next week, you guys have a great rest of your night.
Our time. We know what we gotta do. Stay in the fight. Between the walls.
Time to turn the intensity up.
Fight to the end, no matter what happens. Good day to be in victory lane.
Green flag is in the air. Driving with conviction. Side by side, hammer down. The after checks are quick. Count out anybody.
on the leader now.
He is driving his guts out.
Wheel to wheels, they come to the line. Victory this will be.
Nobody wants it more than you.
Next lap is going to end it.
Does he have enough? A dominant performance.
You're gonna say no, baby. Let's go.
Can you believe what you are seeing? Everybody pushing as hard as they can get it. One final shot.
Gotta earn this thing right here to the end.
It is all on the table.
A total 500.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.